Hey there, welcome back once... What? Oh, gee, thank you, Pika. Forgot my hat. Sorry about... Thanks, Pika. Hey there, welcome back. It's time once again for the Golden Age of DC Comics 365 Days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. This has been surfing my coffee table ever since, giving me ample opportunities to have conversations about comic books, the kind and type we used to have in the comic book shops back in the day, and I'm looking to recreate that here today with you. You are the most important part of this show, this conversation we're having. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Golden Age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age between 1956 and 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby myself, between 1970 and 1985. And the Copper Age begins in 1985. I get these definitions and standards from the most current edition of the Overstreet Price Guide. This is a great addition to any comic book collection. I got mine on Amazon, less than $30. They'll mail it to you. And 2 other books I like to pimp while I'm doing this book pimping stuff. Understanding Comics, The Invisible Art by Scott McCloud, and How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. These are really great insider looks at our beloved genre. If you haven't read either one of these books and you've been a comic reader for a while, maybe stop, drop, and giggle. Go and get these books. We've got links in the description to the Amazon pages where you can get your own copies. I like getting used books myself. You're giving an old book a second chance. It's kind of like looking for back issues at your local comic book shop or at a convention. Things I love to do. I love to use this. I've been giving this book a second chance. I've had this book for 2 decades. And guess what? We've been reading this book together all year long. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. We are using this book for its intended purpose. It's a 365 days book. We're going to open up to today's date. It is October the 30th. It's the last day of September. Really? Where is the time going? That away. Exactly. That's time's arrow. We're going to turn to today's page. We're going to look at some comic book art of an antediluvian age. We're going to read the blurb, and then we're going to talk about comic books. All right, let's get to it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know I already said that, but I'm eternally grateful that there's a bunch of you that watch the show, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed, and I'm blessed to have you here with me. Thank you so much. It's an electric dog. This is so cute. Story and art by Jimmy Thompson from Star Spangled Comics number 29, February of 1944. It's Robot Man, the original Golden Age Robot Man, not to be confused with the Silver Age and Beyond Doom Patrol alternate. Look at it. He's got a little tail. And he says grr, grr, grr. And the gangsters, those are gangsters. Those are stereotypes. That's a stereotype right there. That someone wearing a fedora hat and who might be well dressed like a city slicker, and might be a bit too dapper or a bit too rough looking dressed like that. Carrying a guitar case or a violin case. But that's Robot Man. Yeah, his brain is inside of a metal suit. Exactly. Let's read the blurb and then let's talk about comic books, silly. Shut up and start talking, Eric. All right. The cyborg Robot Man, essentially a human brain housed in a machine, was one of the strangest superheroes of his day. And he had the strangest sidekick as well. Built by his mechanical master, Robbie the robot dog was a good companion and an articulate conversationalist and a tough customer. Both he and Robot Man had artificial skins that they pulled over their metal bodies so they could pass for normal, or as we like to say, typical. Not preaching, no, it's my preference. Yeah, in my humble opinion. Yeah. I'll substitute the word typical for normal just to diffuse and be a potentially hazardous reaction out of somebody I don't know who I'm talking to, because that can be easily used against you if you say the word normal. Yeah, dude. I don't make the rules. I just bend them. Robbie's debut pushed the feature into high gear. Let's look at the art one more time. I like this art. It's simple. This is golden age art. I mean, it wasn't hyper realistic. It wasn't overly cartoony. There's action. There's a light source. There's or are there 2 light sources? I mean, if you're into art, you tell me. Like, what's where's the illumination coming from for the 3 gangsters there? Isn't the light coming from the opening in the tunnel there? Questions. I love art, and I love appreciating art, and that's a big part of this channel is appreciating art. What's a big part of this art of the golden age? The golden age of comic books was a response to daily newspaper strips. Yeah, and they own the market. Comic books were like the minor leagues. They was second rate, until they really came into their own, and pretty quickly too. Yet it was the daily features in the daily and Sunday newspapers which had all of America's attention, because everyone saw newspapers every day. That was the ancient internet. I'm being serious, especially to younger readers, younger viewers rather. If you're a young person, I recently saw an issue of the Boston Globe, a Daily Globe, and I was astounded at its cover price. I was gobsmacked. It's usually, I grew up with a 25 cent to 50 cent to $1, $1.50, and it was $3. I think it was $3.50, was it? For a daily newspaper of yesterday's news. But it still had a comic strip, and the comic strips were on the same page as the crossword and the jumble and your Sudoku, and right near the horoscopes. So it's like, in a certain section of the newspaper. And I grew up with the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald American, which became the Boston Herald. It was great to get both because they both had competing newspaper strips. You remember, they had Flash Gordon for the longest time, Prince Valiant, these old Andy Capp, Garfield, Bloom County. They had Doonesbury. I loved Doonesbury, and I loved Bloom County. I was a smart kid reading Bloom County in the early 80s. I mean, and that was political satire of a kind of more one side than the other, but both sides got it equally. It was like Berkeley Breathed was the Bill Maher of his day. I mean, Doonesbury was pretty conservative and pretty straight-laced, but that was completely political satire as well. Doonesbury is really good, and I believe that is both are still current. I know that Bloom County took a long hiatus itself. It's its prime title. It had a spinoff called Outland: The Adventures of Opus, the Penguin, but also there was another strip that I was fond of that I grew up with. It premiered when I was 12 years old, and I remember there being a cartoon with a really catchy kind of jingle. The cartoon didn't go anywhere, but the comic strip was called Robot Man. Yeah, and it had nothing to do with either Robot Men of the Golden Age of DC or the Silver Age and Beyond of DC. The Golden Age Robot Man was Robert Crane, and the other Robot Man is Cliff Steele. There's a pretty decent Doom Patrol TV show on HBO Max. You can check that out. I actually have that on Blu-ray. I bought season 1, and I got it used, so I didn't have to give DC any of my money at that time, which I do now very begrudgingly and sparingly. I do. I go back to the comic book store now. But Robot Man, who is neither Robert Crane, who we were talking about today, who we met his dog, there was Robot Man, and it began on February 18th, 1985. You might, and it's ongoing, it's current. And if you read newspapers, you might know it as Monty, and it would be Monty by Jim Medic, and Monty originally began as Robot Man on February 18th, 1985. I think he was in the Herald. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Local Bostonians, can you correct me here if I am wrong? Or can you tell me if I'm right? And Robot Man lived with a typical, with an ordinary family, the mild family, MILDE, and so it was like a sitcom of its time too. So Robot Man, let's see. Robot Man originated as a character created by British musician Peter Shelley. Indeed, I didn't. There we go. This is what we get for. He had hits in the 70s in the UK, like G Baby and Love Me, Love My Dog. And Shelley later worked with United Feature Syndicates. They were like the holders of the properties of the strips in the daily newspapers. It's a syndication service, and they were in an attempt to push Robot Man via cross-marketing toys, records, videos, and other merchandise. And in 1985, DIC, they did Inspector Gadget, and I think the Littles produced a 90-minute television special called Robot Man and Friends. The syndicate desired to have a comic strip featuring the character. They asked Bill Waterston to incorporate the character into Calvin and Hobbes as a condition of syndication, but Waterston refused. Ain't that cool? Yeah. Oh, Calvin and Hobbes. I read Calvin and Hobbes every day, and it's in the entirety of its publication. That's a good. It's okay to end a story. And it's okay to, Calvin and Hobbes can't become something as ridiculous as like what Batman or Superman has become, because it ended on such a note, and it's achieved its perfection. It's rested. It's resting in peace. It's a wonderful thing. Calvin and Hobbes, check it out. If you don't know what I'm talking about. That is one of the transcendent comic strips, and there was a daily comic strip as well. So, due to contract negotiations, the syndicate approached Medic with a request to change the name of the strip to Monty and de-emphasize and remove Robot Man from the strip. This was due to an ongoing difficulty with the strip and the name Robot Man. For a brief period, the strip was rechristened Robot Man and Monty, and Robot Man left the planet with his girlfriend in 2001, and it went to Monty, and I remember Monty, and I only seen a real physical newspaper. I found it on the subway. I brought it to the pub with me, and I read the newspaper, and it was literally yesterday's newspaper. This was a couple of months ago. But and I did it for it had all the sections, and I looked through them, and it's shrunk in size a bit. It was definitely shrunk in thickness, and the price was the biggest part of it. And but it still had daily comic strips, and it had the crossword puzzle, which I was gonna do in pen, because I usually do the crossword in pen. That's how I rock. That's how I roll. But yeah, I remember Robot Man, and I remember that Robot Man better than I remember today's Robot Man, Robert Crane. And let's just look at this art one more time, because this is a show about art appreciation. Yeah, look at that art. Indeed. Yeah, check out Robot Man online. It's by Robot Man by Jim Medic, Meddick. Yeah, we've been talking about comic books, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. I would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day. We talk about cooking. I'm a professional chef. We talk about spirituality and gratitude and purpose. I'm an ordained minister, an amateur theologian. And starting tomorrow, I got a new show. Tune in. It'll be up, I think, in the morning by 9:15 it premieres, a.m. U.S. Eastern. Daily, I'm doing the 31 Days of Halloween. I'm going to watch 31 horror movies over the course of October and talk about each and every one of them leading up to Halloween. And when I reveal one of my favorite all-time horror movies that fits with me culturally as well, being Irish, of Irish descent, rather. I'm a Yank. But that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow in those funny pages. Yes, next to Robot Man and Calvin and Hobbes and Garfield and Snoopy and Blondie and Dagwood and Kathy, and all the... Leave me a couple of your favorite comic strips in the comments section. I want to hear from you. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye-bye.